I'm getting a tummy tuck and a breast augmentation. Hello guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you are new here, I am Millie Cvjetkovic. I am an online physique coach and I'm also a natural physique competitor. I am a figure athlete. So I'm getting a tummy tuck and a breast augmentation. For those of you who might have followed my journey for a while, you may know why, but to those of you who maybe haven't followed it super closely, or you don't just know my backstory in detail, you might be wondering. And I think on surface level, it might be a little bit weird to think, oh, a physique coach, an online coach, like why would she be getting a tummy tuck? So this video is going to be like the first in a series of me documenting everything that I'm about to go through, because I think I need to give a little bit of a context here as to why I'm getting a tummy tuck and a breast augmentation, and actually to show you guys what it's like after drastic weight loss. And having progressed with a lot of weight loss, that means that you are left with things that actually improving your health, improving your fitness literally cannot change. So 5 years ago, I was a lot heavier than I am now. I think I was around 75 kilos, and in pounds, that is around 165 pounds. Just for context, I'm 5'4" or 163 centimeters. At that point, I had gone through a very traumatic childhood. If you want to know a little bit more about like my backstory, how I got to where I am today, how I became a physique competitor and lost all of this weight and then became a coach to help others do so, then you can hit the link below to the Mindset Mill podcast, which is my podcast, and the very first episode explains everything. But even so, I was in a position where I definitely had piled on a lot of weight when I was quite young from injuries and then also from emotional eating. I really struggled with emotional eating and I gained weight fast. I was always the fat kid. I always felt like I never fit in. Fast forward to university, I joined the lifting club, the strength sports club at my university, and I fell in love with weightlifting. So I did powerlifting, I started some bodybuilding style training, and I lost a lot of weight from 2017 to 2018, 2019, with lots of like hiccups along the way. I did lose a fair amount of body fat, and I think I got down from 165 pounds to 120 pounds. And I did that through mainly diet and then starting to incorporate exercise as I began to fall in love with strength training. But then it got to the point where my health took a turn. I developed inflammatory bowel disease, or I got diagnosed with it, and that turned my life upside down. I gained some weight back. I then lost a lot of weight again, and then lockdown, COVID hit. At that point, like training was my everything. I would spend all day like training in my garden, training outside, working my 9-to-5 corporate job at the time, but literally it was everything to me. And at that point I decided the following year, once COVID had calmed down, that I was going to become a bikini competitor, a physique athlete. So through this whole journey, I kind of went through muscle building phases and fat loss phases, and my body changed a lot. But one thing that even through when I was a bikini athlete never really changed was the kind of like saggy loose skin that I had around the very bottom of my midsection. And I'll insert some clips and some photos for you guys now. I'll overlay those just so that you can see, like, even when I was at my very leanest, like literally, it was so difficult because I was having to hike my bikini bottoms before I went on stage up to try and cover my skin. I was having to literally use double-sided tape to tape my bikini bottoms to my loose skin so that it wouldn't all come like over the top of my bikini knickers when I was posing on stage. Like, that was one of the most challenging times for me, I think, when I realized that this loose skin was really affecting me, because I literally like had to change my posing on stage to not kind of cause that to be something that would be looked at a lot. And it was weird because my whole physique was lean, but just this portion of me wasn't. And so that's one thing that I've kind of struggled with, is obviously like now I identify as a really healthy, fit person, a coach, and someone also who is still a physique competitor. And I'm only wanting to excel in my journey as a natural figure competitor. But this one thing is something which is ever present. And it's really made me realize that no matter what kind of like health and fitness route you go down, no matter how dedicated you are to the process, some things you can't change. Like, some things you really can't change. And I think that this video is for me to kind of talk about why I'm doing this procedure and why I want these things to change. I just want to kind of like reference as well, I've spoken about the loose skin around my midsection and you guys have seen that. That is something that I find uncomfortable day to day, because as you can kind of tell from me talking there about when I was on stage competing in my bikini, how I'd always be at risk of that skin kind of like falling over my bikini. But in day-to-day life, like, it's annoying. Like, I don't really ever wear anything low-waisted. Everything I wear in terms of underwear, in terms of leggings, shorts, you know, everything is high-waisted. And also when I'm wearing like quite tight clothes, I feel like I'm a bit disproportionate. Like, the rest of my body seems to kind of like be in proportion, and then I've just got this kind of like almost like ring around my midsection, which I can't do anything about it. because that's just the loose skin that's there as a result of gaining so much weight so quickly at a young age from a really difficult background and having disordered eating. I also went through binge eating when I first started my fat loss journey and sought therapy for that. So that's the kind of stomach side of things, or my midsection. But then when it comes to like the breast augmentation, okay, let's just say I've gone through a lot of gaining phases. I've also lost a lot of weight, and over that time, my breasts have deflated. Like, yes, I do still have breast tissue. They're not very perky, and that is something which does affect my confidence. You know, I love the feminine look of full breast. It's just something that I like. I like boobs, and I love the look of, you know, women who have had breast augmentation. I think it looks awesome, and I know that it might not be for everyone. I know that it might not be the traditional route that people might want to kind of like go down, but for me, I want to do that more so as a thing of like, I love how that looks and I'd love to have that myself. But then for kind of like the loose skin around my midsection, that's genuinely something that I find highly inconvenient day to day when it comes to choosing clothes, and when it comes to especially like just bodybuilding posing. Like, I love bodybuilding, I love being on stage, I love posing, but I'm just so self-conscious about that, and it does affect my placings. You know, if you have a lot of loose skin and, you know, something that's covering up your abs, your midsection, it's really tough, like really, really tough to kind of like be able to look as if you're in proportion. So there's a good few reasons that this is something that I'm going to do. And I think when you realize that you've spent, well, I've spent 5 years now being 100% fully into fitness and health, changing my life, you know, just improving every aspect of my life and taking this as my full-time role. Yeah, I still can't change this. It's just a bit like, you know, frustrating. And it's something that I can't change without surgery or without having that kind of intervention. And it is something that I'm going to do. I'm going to go down that route. And this is the reason, for those of you who have been following my kind of like latest vlogs, that I have done a substantial fat loss phase. So I have been losing body fat for about the last 4 to 5 months. Yeah, nearing 5 months. And that's because I did a muscle building phase where I gained a lot of weight and nearly went back to the same scale weight that I was at, you know, where I first started my fat loss journey. And actually through all of that, you gain body fat. And of course that is a side effect of when you're in a significant calorie surplus, aiming to grow muscle. But in order for the surgeon to do a nice and accurate job to remove as many fat cells as possible, because a tummy tuck does also remove fat cells along with removing the loose skin, because you have fat cells attached to the loose skin. So when I go through that process, it's just going to be a little bit more productive and better if I am already leaner or at a body composition where I would like to stay. So where I'm at now, around 128 pounds, this is thereabouts, if not like a little bit leaner, then I would like to stay at a normal position for like the rest of my life if I never did bodybuilding again. So that's also important when it comes to the breast augmentation. As you guys will know, you females watching, if you gain a bunch of weight, a lot of it can go to your breast tissue and make your boobs bigger, not to your breast tissue, to your breasts and make your boobs look bigger. But if you lose a lot of weight or fat, you can lose that from your breasts, and therefore they look smaller. So now I'm at that kind of position where when I get my implants, it's going to mean, well, it's going to look exactly the size that I want them to be and how it will be if I step away from this kind of process of gaining muscle and being in a gaining phase, and then also, you know, competing, going through a prep and stepping on a bodybuilding stage. So I'm in that middle point now, and it's the appropriate point to have my breast augmentation, and then also puts me in a better position than being at a height of a muscle building phase and having extra body fat for, you know, having the loose skin removed. The one thing that I do want to mention is that with my procedure, it's different to what most people who have this procedure will go through. A tummy tuck combined with any kind of adjustment to your breast, whether it's a breast lift, a breast reduction, breast implants, that's termed as a mummy makeover most of the time, because women will have this done after they've had children. So you'll go through pregnancy, your, you know, belly might stretch, you might get loose skin, and then you want that removed after your pregnancy. The same thing goes with after, you know, a substantial amount of time breastfeeding, it can kind of deflate your breasts. And therefore, most women after pregnancy and having children want to kind of have that mummy makeover, or most women who go through this procedure go through it at that time. And that's why it's termed a mummy makeover. But for me, it's literally just from weight loss and from having been on this journey where, you know, from one end of the spectrum to the other end, I have probably lost 55, 60 pounds from like my very, very heaviest to my very leanest. So that is a pretty substantial amount, but I think it's also how I've gained that weight when I was quite young so quickly is why I've been left with this loose skin. So this procedure that I'm going to do is going to be very intense. It's an intense recovery. It's going to absolutely transform things for me with regard to, you know, how my physique looks at the moment. But the one thing that it will do is cause me to have less inconvenience when it comes to wearing certain clothes and, you know, having that kind of like thing always in my head when I'm doing bodybuilding, posing perhaps, and just being quite conscious of that area, to be honest, because I feel like it is a little bit of like an anomaly compared to the rest of me. So that's going to change a lot. It's going to be an intense recovery. I'm not going to be able to do my bodybuilding training for probably like 5 to 6 weeks at a minimum, if not, you know, possibly even close to like 8 to 12 weeks. I'm not going to be training, and I'm currently, you know, an athlete that trains every day. Not lifting weights every day, but I'm in the gym every day. If it's not weights, then it's cardio. And recently it has been a lot of both. You know, to progress with, over the last 5 months, I've lost 25 pounds for this surgery, you know, quite specifically, and then also to put me in a better position for when I do compete next year after I've had the surgery and I've recovered, and I will have new boobs and also a new midsection or tummy area because I'm going to go through this tummy tuck. So I want to document this for you guys because aside from one person, a good friend of mine who I know, Chris, who is a male bodybuilder who also has gone through this procedure of getting a tummy tuck, similar journey, you know, to mine, where he gained weight, he never quite managed to lose all of it and he was left with loose skin. Aside from Chris, I don't know any other bodybuilder or any other person who's, you know, in the fitness industry that has gone through this process and is actually, one, going to be able to educate you on how to maintain your results forever, but two, how to speed up your recovery or make sure that your recovery is absolutely optimal from all the perspectives of supplements, diet, nutrition. So all of these things I'm going to tell you guys in this series and just be totally brutally honest about everything that I go through, the highs and lows, and how I feel throughout this process. So what I'm going to do, just to kind of give a starting point for where I'm at now, is you've seen what I looked like, you know, beforehand, before I lost all the body fat. You've seen what I looked like when I was like at my leanest. I want to show you transparently what I look like now. Like, so what it looks like with the loose skin that I have at the moment and how that kind of looks in proportion to the rest of my physique, because these before shots are going to be super important when it comes to showing you what things look like afterwards. And I'm really interested to see, like, to the extent of which they remove loose skin. I don't even think sometimes I realize like how much there is. I only actually ever realized this when I got to my leanest, when I competed, you know, as a bikini athlete, because it is really just that lower part of my abdomen that it affects. So I hope that you guys are kind of just like with me on this one, with like excited to see the results, because I'm super excited to see the results. And then also for my breast augmentation, we're going bigger, but not too big to the point where it's gonna kind of like look disproportionate. So yeah, I'm also very, very just excited, but nervous now. The surgery is literally a week today. So very, very excited to see how things go. And I'm gonna take you guys along with me. The other thing to mention is any questions at all that you have about recovery, about the procedure, about how I decided on finding the doctor, how long it took me to make this decision, you know, anything like that, please drop it below in the comments, or follow me on Instagram, Millie_teamCBM. I will do a question box on there and I will make sure that I get all of that answered for you guys, because I want to be totally honest and transparent, and this is the start of that. So please guys, show some love to this video, drop me a like, and if you haven't already subscribed, please do, because there is a whole lot of content coming your way in terms of this recovery, this procedure, this process, and then also lots more health and fitness guidance moving forward. So yeah, I appreciate you guys. I really, really, you know, adore you guys for coming along to support, because I know there will be a lot of you supporting. So thank you so, so much. I hope that you guys have a good one, and I will catch you in the next one when it's time for surgery. Much love.